Welcome back to Just Keep Skating. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to turn a marble countertop into a skate ledge. So first off, I want to do a quick disclaimer. I'm a ticketed carpenter and I've been skateboarding for 30 years. Both skateboarding and construction are inherently dangerous. If you manage to hurt yourself trying to replicate anything in this video, that's on you. Just know that sometimes I do stuff I probably shouldn't. Anyways, now that we're done that, so what do we have here? We have this huge kitchen island and we're gonna turn it into a beautiful ledge. Now this is not gonna be a portable ledge. Like this thing is gonna stay right where it is because it is so heavy. All right, first let's get acquainted with what a granite countertop is. So you see this line right here? So we can see that it's actually 2 layers of 3/4 inch granite. It's been glued together. So there's a top solid piece and then this little strip down below. And then in there, inset in that space is plywood. The plywood is there for people to be able to screw down the countertop from underneath the counters. So I glued some more plywood in here to make sure that there wasn't going to be a big hollow spot so it wouldn't crack really easy. I used good old PL Premium and it's been sitting in there for about 3 or 4 days covered with a tarp. For the top, I'm using 3/4 inch plywood. This is treated lumber because this is going to be sitting out here for as many years as it takes to rot. For the sides, to keep the weight down, I'm using, again, 3/4 inch plywood. And I've made these little handles in here, which was pretty simple. I just took a 1-inch spade bit, drilled it out, and then I did a plunge cut with a circular saw, which is one of those sort of carpenter techniques. It's a little bit dangerous, but we always have to do it in construction. And then I used a roundover bit on my laminate trimmer to just give it a nice feel, because nobody wants to be grabbing jagged edges of plywood. Doesn't feel nice. I mean, there already could be spiders under the box when you're picking the thing up. The last thing you want to be dealing with is like crusty edges and spiders. Also, I made sure to put the handles in first because if we ever do move this thing, there's no way we would ever move it without the handles. And you also can't router both sides of the handle unless you do it before you assemble it. So as you can see, it's not millwork, it's a little rough, but it's going to do the job. The studs are treated 2x10s. I ripped them down to 9 1/4 because for some reason these ones were tapered from 9 3/8 to 9 1/4. So these were actually ripped with my track saw at 9 3/8. So the studs are actually going to sit off the ground by about 1/8 of an inch. They'll be more than strong enough to support the weight of the countertop, but this way none of the studs will be touching, just the outside edge of the plywood with a 1/8 gap to the studs. And what this is going to do is if there's any inconsistencies in the ground under the box, like a little hump in the ground, it's not gonna rock as easy. So should help a little bit for that. So now I'm gonna get this thing assembled in preparation for getting that countertop on. Okay, got this put together, but you may notice that I left this front side of it open. And that's because what I was planning on doing is putting the countertop on top of it and screwing it from underneath and then putting the last side on. But I had another idea, which we'll get into in a minute. But you may have noticed that on some of them I countersunk and on some of them I didn't. So the key here is if you're going into plywood, you have to do a nice long pilot hole. And it's not so much about countersinking the face of the plywood, it's about getting a pilot hole into the edge of that long piece of plywood so that when your screw goes in, it doesn't just split it. Because plywood splits really easy and it doesn't hold screws well going in like this. It holds screws really well the other way, because that way you've got all these different direction grains overlapping that don't split apart. But anyways, it's all screwed together, and I was going to wait for my kids to help me lift this on, but then I had an idea. I realized that I can just throw all the glue on here and lean this up onto here and screw it in place, and then wait for them to come home and just drop the whole thing down. And I'm less likely to crack this thing. I can even put this side on. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get this side on, and then I'm gonna do exactly what I just said instead of repeating myself. All right, you guys, I got it figured out. I'm gonna bring you up close and show you how this is gonna work. So this piece of plywood right here brings it up to almost exactly the right height. I have one on each one. We're gonna get the box in place, and then I'll have to throw a little shim in there just to get it exactly perfect. Because I wanna have a 1/4 inch showing around the outside edge, because then there's gonna be some skate light going on here to help with the slides. Guys, it's definitely screwed in, but I think it actually needs some gravity now. And possibly against my better judgment, I'm gonna drop this thing down. Okay, I have been doing my deadlifts, so I should be okay. Yeah, it's heavy, all right. It's heavy. But it's not impossible. Yes! That's it. Now I just gotta get the wood out from under it, and I think I might even skate it tonight. You know what, you guys, I'm actually gonna wait until tomorrow. No, you can't get that one. Come get the other one over here. Yeah. I'm gonna wait until tomorrow. Did you just push it under?
Wait, it's short.
Yeah, it's short. You just pushed it under more. Now you gotta push it out with that 2x4.
Okay.
Quick! I've been doing deadlifts, but it's still really heavy. Okay. Yeah, good.
That's short.
They're both like that too. All right, kick that one out first.
Okay.
Okay, now go to this side and get that one out. What I'm trying to say is I want to let the glue set before I start skating on this thing, because I would hate for it to crack. The glue acts as a shim to any uneven surfaces. Okay. Ah! Whew! All right, there we go. Yeah, it's movable, just not a lot. It's just a little bit movable. Okay, I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to actually skate this thing. You guys, it's done. And I added a little piece of skate light right here. That's what that funny little line is there. I'll bring you up close so you can see why I would do such a ridiculous thing and take away the minimalist design I had going. So as you can see, I took great pains to try and get the skate light very flush with the edge of the granite, and that's so your wheels slide really well. So I could have made the plywood flush with the edge of the granite, but what would happen there is plywood doesn't slide very well. You have to wax it all the time. And then it also starts like peeling up in long strands because it's just wood. It's got a grain and it's gonna pull off. So what I did was I took great pains to make sure that there was going to be a 1/4 inch lip when I installed the countertop. That way, when I put the skate light on, it ends up flush with the granite, and you can wax that and it holds the wax for a little while. It doesn't wear away. So it's overall just gonna turn out a lot nicer than having a plywood side that's just gonna blow apart over time. But it was definitely hard to make sure that it did wind up flush. One side has about a 1/16 of an inch lip and the other side is pretty much perfectly flush. And I did have to get out the power planer and the flap disc on a grinder to make sure that it was going to wind up totally flush, because some parts it was going to stick out too much, which still would have worked, but it would have looked like crap. So anyways, it's done. I'm really happy with it now. And more than anything, I want to skate. I've got like an hour of light left and I want to get a session in on here. So I think we'll close out the video with just, I don't know, some skating over the week. But I want to say thanks for watching Just Keep Skating. I hope you're doing awesome. And yeah, this is how I chose to tackle this project. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more in a later video. But for now, if I don't turn this camera off, I'm not going to skate this thing. Well, I said I wasn't going to talk about it in this video, but why would I do that to you? Of course you're going to want to know what this is like. So the finished height is 1 foot, and at first I thought it was going to be a little bit too high just looking at it, and before I was warmed up, when I was trying to pop on it, it felt a little bit big to me, especially considering the meniscus injury. But then once I got to skating it and started getting used to it, it was fantastic. I love this thing. Now, in terms of slides, it was really sticky at first, especially in the first session. It took me a while to get that kind of broken in. And then even still, it was still pretty slow and sluggish. One of the things about a super polished marble or granite is that your board makes complete surface contact. It's not wavy at all, right? It's dead flat. And so it just sticks. And the thing about waxing it is the wax just gets pushed off of that super smooth surface. So it takes a while for it to break in. And the wax never really soaks in because that surface is so polished and smooth. You need more of like a honed surface for the wax to get in. However, once it starts getting a little bit chunky, then the wax will get into where all the chunks are and get into the pores. But getting back to the slide, it did eventually break in, and by the second and third session, it was sliding really nice. If you lean back, it's got a real nice slide. But if you're leaned forward a bit, you're gonna stick. And that is the opposite of the grinds. Grinds on this thing don't even make a sound. Like, they barely feel like anything. In fact, it could use some chunks. When you jump on to grind on this thing, it's the opposite. You need to be leaning forward or it will take off on you every time. Now, one of the nice things about this, especially because it doesn't have too much wax on the top yet, is the top is not actually that slippery. So say when I was trying to do like the nollie nose grind on this, like I was definitely being careful to land with my weight centered down, but it's not so much that I was scared. Like, you can actually get your wheels on top of the ledge and they're not gonna zoot out on you really bad. And again, that comes down to the marble being so polished that your wheels make total surface contact. So, and they'll push the wax out of the way. So instead of being super slippery, it's actually a little bit grippy. Like you can hear in this lip slide attempt. Right? It's not as slick as some people might think, as long as it doesn't have too much wax on it or it's not wet. If it's wet, it's deadly. But yeah, getting back to how your wheels slide, so some people might think this would be wicked for blunt slides. And in fact, super polished stone is not good for blunt slides. You need, again, a honed surface that is more porous, that allows the wax to get in and doesn't make 100% surface contact with your wheels. Anyways, moving on, hopefully you appreciated that little more in-depth look at how this polished stone ledge works. It is light enough that I can slide it around by myself. It takes a little bit, but you can see I got it from over there all the way to here on my own. So it is movable. It's not transportable, but it is movable, which is awesome because this place can take a while to dry up and I need to move it to where the dry spots are some days. And I did try and put it where it dries up the fastest. Anyways, I'm all done talking. This is a really fun ledge. I'm super stoked I made it. I'm able to do some of the tricks that I wasn't able to do for a little bit, like my knees are definitely feeling a lot better. I'm getting a little braver popping off of my right leg. I definitely didn't expect to be doing any backside 180 nose grinds. Really stoked on that. Front side popping, I'm scared of. Anyways, we're getting into all that other knee stuff and you guys don't need to hear about that. But yeah, let's just end it on thanks for watching Just Keep Skating. I hope you're doing well. You know, now you know how I made this. If you choose to tackle that venture yourself, best of luck. So yeah, thanks for watching Just Keep Skating. Till the next one. I'm rambling. We're doing an awkward bend to grow outro on a different channel. Why am I doing this? It's over. See ya. Hello, hello. Welcome back to Just Keep Skating. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to turn a marble countertop into a ledge. Why is there always a plane when I'm filming?